It's Mac. Welcome back. Episode 37 of Icebreaker. I almost said 38 because that's what you just said off the top. AJ, how are you?
I also got confused. I'm doing very well, other than I'm still trying to figure out why I stayed up Saturday to watch the Jets get blown out by the Habs.
Yeah,
I didn't turn it off. I still don't know why.
I was sitting there and the second period started and it was this like same thing. I just it was 4-0 before I knew it. And I was like, I don't think I need to watch this anymore.
But I just kept. It was like a bad train wreck. They just kept scoring, and I just kept watching. I still don't know why.
Me too. Me too. That was hey, but you know what? Everyone's allowed to get blown out once in a while. Whether it's 1-0 or 7-0, it's just one loss.
Yeah,
So, bounce back and hopefully they will because they have been pretty good so far this season.
they have been, and I got to say, mind you, coming up here, if they're not looking at trading for a defenseman after that 7-1 loss, I think they might be now.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. Did you see the golf today, how it played out? Something about Bryson DeChambeau winning. You see any of that?
I only read a little something about the big man and a big drive, but you were watching it. What happened in the golf?
Okay, well, we'll just get to the big drive first. Hole 6, par 5, around the water. Well, he took the water out of it 2 days in a row. Yesterday, 370-yard drive, or I should say Saturday. And then on Sunday, 377-yard drive over the water. And it's fun because the crowd was back and they went crazy for it. And he put on a show. It was pretty fun. But when it came down to it on 18, he missed the putt. He missed the birdie putt to win. He could two putt to win. He missed his birdie putt, but it sailed past it. So that let Lee Westwood have a 5-footer for par, which he made. And then if DeChambeau missed, which he had like 6 feet left, it would have been gone to a playoff. But he sunk the putt and he let his emotions out. Arnold Palmer meant a lot to him, and it was Arnold Palmer tournament. So that was pretty cool to see. So he's got his 8th PGA Tour win, which I mean, he's gonna win his fair share of tournaments here as he moves on in his career.
Yeah, it's funny that he wailed that putt so hard, because that's just what I expect out of him. His arms are just massive.
Yeah,
377 yards. Is that what you said the drive was?
yeah,
That would take me 2 woods and at least 2 irons.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Really is incredible hitting the ball that far.
Yeah.
As we sit here and record this, the NBA skills competition is on.
Mhm.
And I just watched Steph Curry put up 31 points in the first round of the what is it called? 3-point shooting contest. And they're laughing. They said he pulled a Larry Bird and went in there and said, which one of you guys is playing for second? But it's pretty true.
Nobody sinks them like Steph Curry does, not from past that 3-point line.
And did you see that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons cannot play in the All-Star game because of COVID contact tracing back to their barber?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, man. Where we're at here in Canada and where they're at down in the States, it's obviously a big difference as to what you can do and what you can pull off. It's not necessarily that they had the COVID, but you're right. They got traced back. They can't do the All-Star game. I'm sure they're real bummed out about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't think it's
I don't think so.
it's something that those guys want to do necessarily, but I guess it's just funny how things work out these days. Before we move on from that, I just want to go on the record for my Manitoba building trades hot take is that I think Joel Embiid I think he's going to win the MVP here for the league. The big man's going to do it.
My goodness. I would love to see that. He's such a lovable player.
Yeah.
And he's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. Okay. I'll get behind your hot take.
And I remember watching, he's had like 3 games this year. He had like 50, 60 points.
Yeah.
It's been incredible, but that's, it's not just any project. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. It's about building something great for Manitoba. That's why you turn to the expert talent and craftsmanship of Manitoba's tradespeople. Manitoba Building Trades is Manitoba's unionized construction industry. Productive labor is our business with over 10,000 skilled trades professionals. We build what others can only imagine. Visit mbtrades.ca and come build with us.
Make some money.
We will
That's what those
see.
trades people are all about. Yeah.
Yeah, we will see how that works. I guess, last week I gave it to you pretty good on the trivia. So it's my turn to take it on the chin. What do you got for me this week?
I don't think you're going to do very poorly at all. I think you'll do well with a little golf trivia in honor of the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
I like
The
that.
warm weather, golf is back in the air. In fact, if you were in Winnipeg here, there was a driving range open in St. Vital this weekend.
That's phenomenal. Before we get into that trivia, I just want to say I don't know the guy's first name, but his last name was Ventura, and he got a hole in one. So their PGA Tour was putting out online Ace Ventura, and I thought it was great.
I like that. Thankfully, that wasn't one of my trivia questions.
Oh, good.
Here we go, Mac. First of 5.
Okay.
There are 2 players tied with the most career wins on the PGA Tour. Can you name either player?
Well, Tiger Woods.
Okay, that was an easy one. Can you name the second one for a bonus point?
Yeah, I think his name is literally slipping out of my head right now. Hang on, give me a second.
Yep.
It's not Jack. It's oh my God. Is it Snead?
It is. It's
Yeah.
Sam Snead and Tiger
Sam
Woods
Snead.
are both tied for most career wins on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Well done. Speaking of Tiger, question number 2, how many hole-in-ones does Tiger Woods have in his PGA Tour career?
Wow, I do not know this, but I am going to take a stab at it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go like on tour, in tour events is the question?
In tour events, on the tour, how many hole-in-ones does Tiger have?
I'm going to go off the record or on the record here, but way off the charts. And I'm going to go with 0.
Oh, he has a few. Ace Ventura has 1/3 of the hole-in-ones now that Tiger Woods had. He has 3 on the PGA Tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? When I was thinking about it, I don't recall seeing a lot of highlights of Tiger having an ace.
No, he's got something like, what did I say, 82 career wins and 3 hole-in-ones. So,
Yeah.
They're few and far between.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Question number 3. Who is the golfer with the most career wins at the Masters?
Ooh. Most career Masters wins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Jack Nicklaus.
The Golden Bear. Jack Nicklaus is correct. Yeah. Yeah, he's got one more than Tiger Woods.
Yes.
And unfortunately now, I hate to say it because it's maybe too soon.
Yeah.
He might stay that way.
Yeah.
We've got 2 out of 3 here, Mac. Question number 4 in the trivia today. Who was the first golfer in PGA Tour history to earn $1 million on the tour? Who was the first player to earn $1 million?
Wow. This could be, I'm trying to think of money back in the day, winning, endorsements.
It happened in 1967, if that helps.
Okay. That helps. I'm going to go with Arnold Palmer.
They named the tournament after him this weekend. Arnold Palmer was the first player to reach $1 million in earnings winning on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Okay, this is for the 5th question. You're 3 out of 4. I was looking at the rankings of who's won the most majors on the PGA Tour. Who is the top non-American to win the most majors on the tour?
Top non-American to win the most. Is it Seve Vallesteros?
It is not. In fact, I think it's a much more noticeable name than that. Gary Player.
Oh, yeah.
Is the top non-American. And here's one extra question that I wasn't sure I wanted to include. Who's the top non-American in PGA Tour wins? Not the majors, just tour wins. It's an interesting name. I don't think you're going to think of it.
Tour wins. Okay, since it's not a part of the trivia, can you give me like a decade?
He's still playing to this day.
Vijay Singh.
Vijay Singh. Yeah, it is. He's got the most career PGA Tour wins for a non-American.
You know what? And even before I asked that question, I was going to go with Vijay.
Yeah. Vijay's like stealthy. He's in all these tours and you never know. He can strike. He wins a lot.
He does win a lot, and he did win a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
That was fun. I did better than I thought after couple weeks ago with the curling questions, but
went with more something in your niche than curling.
Yeah, thank you for that. As we move forward in the show here, we're joined by Winnipeg ICE defenseman Carson Lambos a little bit later in the show. Before we get into that, Mitch Peacock's back to talk a little bit at an ICE training camp. So that's a good little segment coming right up. Well, back with Mitch Peacock, and as we get closer to the start of the season, I know you've had a few chances to talk to the coach, a couple of players. What are you hearing out of a shortened training camp in Regina?
Well, it's a challenging situation. Obviously, the guys are excited to be together and just fired right up to play. But it's challenging because, as hockey fans would know, players have never encountered a 1-week training camp before. This is a whole new beast, and coming off of 2 weeks without skating heading into the camp. So the idea is to kind of take it slow and hurry up all at once. They've got to be careful out of the gates that they don't get themselves any nagging injuries, that sideline guys. So they're starting somewhat cautiously Friday, Saturday, ramped it up on Sunday, and James Patrick says he's just got to keep building and building. They want to have a great foundation of fitness, obviously, without making guys overworked or overtaxed. So what I'm hearing is the guys are excited to be together. They're pushing themselves. They want to stay healthy, but they want to get ready, and they feel like they're making progress in those early days.
And some of those guys, I guess the ICE released their roster middle of last week. So let's go back to that for a second. For some key returning guys coming back, who should we watch out for?
Well, it's worth mentioning the ICE have a lot of returning guys, and that speaks to the way the program has been built. They've got a good group of players, in that 17, 18 age group that give them, I think, a real core of quality and a real sort of foundation to build on as a team. So without wanting to hurt any feelings, there's a lot of players coming back, and that makes the ICE a pretty good team. But when you get into specifics and talk about some of the big names, you can't start without talking about Peyton Krebs, the captain of the team, first-round draft pick of the Vegas Golden Knights, led the Western Hockey League in assists per game last season, fourth in the Western Hockey League in points per game last season, silver medalist at the World Junior Championship, 5 points in 5 games with the Henderson Silver Knights in the American Hockey League. And that's not even mentioning that he spent the bubble last summer with the Vegas Golden Knights, getting himself in and around NHL players and understanding what it's like day to day and what it takes to be a pro. So here's a guy who most thought was acting like a pro already when he was 17, 18. And now, we're talking about a guy who's got all the attributes of a quality professional at 19 and is the captain of the team. So it starts there for the Winnipeg ICE when you talk about returning players, and continues to guys like Conor Mclennan, now property, or at least drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, who's going to have a chip in his shoulder after an injury sidelined him last year and saw his draft ranking fall. It's easy to forget that Conor Mclennan was, 43rd in the midterm rankings and went in the 6th round after suffering an injury. So, this is going to be a guy with a lot of ability who's been working on his body and getting himself ready to go. Who probably would like to remind a few people that 6th round was probably a bit of a bargain for the Philadelphia Flyers. So I'm excited to see how Connor plays. When you talk about returnees, you got to talk about Owen Peterson, a guy who a lot of people thought would get drafted, had 28 goals last year, which is incredibly impressive for a first full year in the league. A guy who can play center, who can play on the wing, showed a good touch around the net, has been working on his speed, which is an area that he said he wanted to improve and probably will help his pro prospects. And then for me, you can't get past Carson Lambos in terms of the next guy on that list of important players for the Winnipeg ICE coming back. We've talked about it a number of times on the pod, on broadcasts, on the website and articles. This guy is an A prospect. He's a guy that scouts forecast to be a first-round pick. Projections have seen him in the top 5. Some have seen him lower on down in that opening round. But the bottom line is he's an impressive two-way defender. He's got the ability to skate you out of your zone, to get into the other team's zone, to pass the puck, to shoot the puck. James Patrick has raved about his shot for years. Said he had an NHL wrister at 15, which, is mind-boggling. He's got the build of an NHL player at his young years. So there's a pretty good list of quality returning players for the Winnipeg Ice in general, and those are a few off the top of my head that fans will be excited to see in action.
Absolutely. You mentioned Carson Lambos, and we're going to hear from him a little bit later in the show, so make sure to stick around for that. But if we look, I guess, to the earlier years, and I know you mentioned it, the Ice have quite the core returning who are in the 17, 18-year-old age range. So if we look even younger than that, some notable newcomers, it's hard to not look, or it's hard to look at that without mentioning Conor Geekie.
Yeah, well, everybody's proud of their first round draft picks, and the Ice are no exception. They are thrilled to have Conor Geekie on board. Second overall in the draft in his year in 2019. Is a guy, we talk about players using the pandemic to get bigger and stronger. This is a player born in 2004 who comes in at 6'4" and over 200 pounds, according to rumblings that I'm hearing out of Regina, and fit as can be. There's a great athlete there. He's a two-sport guy. Played a lot of baseball over the years. So you got an athlete, you got an athlete's body, you got a natural skill set. You got a lot to look forward to. And remember, he's also got a taste of the league. Got into 7 games last year. He's been around the program. So he's not going to be, tiptoeing around and trying to figure out who these people are and if he's comfortable. This is family now for him. That's the way the Ice operate. They made him feel comfortable, helped him to feel comfortable. And so I'm excited to see him play center ice. That's his natural position. And James Patrick tells me that he wants to see him there too. So no question about it. Conor Geekie and that group of guys coming in, very impressive. You can talk about Skylar Bruce. You can talk about Chase Berthollet. You could get into a 20-year-old in goal, and Carl Stankowski, who's an interesting addition. Won a Western Hockey League championship with the Seattle Thunderbirds in 2017, and he won every game they won in the playoffs in his 16-year-old year. Fortunately for Carl, he had a bad run with injuries, sidelined him, slowed his career quite a bit. He wasn't able to play the year after they won that Western Hockey League championship. Spent some time with the Calgary Hitmen, and then last year had a really nice year with the Penticton Bees in the BC Hockey League. A goals against barely over 2, an impressive save percentage. That's a nice addition to your team to have some maturity in your goalie group. And Zach Benson has been brought along for the trip, and that's a neat thing too. When you get a 2005 player, a guy in his 15-year-old year, usually those players are allowed to play just a few games in a season, but he's going to have this whole experience regardless of how many games he plays. He's going to be in that hub with the team. He's going to be practicing every day. He's going to be around the games. He's going to get a chance to see it up close and personal. And for a quality offensive player like that, with a great hockey mind coming out of a terrific program at the Yale Hockey Academy, I think it's just an ideal situation for getting your feet wet. Whatever he gets out of this is all bonus, because it's just going to put him in a great spot heading into next year.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few of the guys I want to bring up here next, but if we look back to that release the Ice put out on their roster, 7 first-round picks are with them inside the bubble.
Yeah, and first of all, you've got to acknowledge the fact that this is a building program, and they did their homework, and they drafted very efficiently over the years, and they got some good draft picks because of the way the team was developing down the line. But the bottom line is those players have been well selected. They picked well, and the people they've got are making a difference. And when you talk about the 7, it includes Peyton Krebs. You want to go back to the beginning of this development of this program. And then you've got, an interesting addition like an Anderson McDonald coming out of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in his 20-year-old year, who was a first-round pick in that league and has had several 20-goal seasons at the major junior level. That's, a pretty nice addition. So there's a lot of quality. You get skill when you get a first-round pick, and the Ice are loaded when it comes to that.
Yeah, no question. It's going to be a fun team to watch. Appreciate you stopping by, Mitch, and we'll chat with you soon.
Look forward to more, Mac. Take care.
Well, thanks again, Mitch. Always good stuff. Before we move on, make sure to check us out on social media at Icebreaker Show with 2 W's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube and continue downloading and listening wherever you listen to your podcast. We really appreciate it. Our next guest is projected first-round pick in this year's upcoming NHL Draft, and we were pleased to be joined by Carson Lambos. Joined by Winnipeg ICE defenseman Carson Lambos. I guess I'll start off with, how are you? You all settled in Regina?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Just been practicing for about 3 days now, so couldn't be happier to be back on the ice with the team.
And the setup, you guys are all good. You have your own room. Do you bring anything from home to personalize it a little bit?
No, honestly, I wish I did, but I brought a guitar. I'm trying to learn, so I've been doing that, and then my PlayStation are the two things that take up the most time after school, of course.
Right. How long have you been trying to learn guitar?
2 weeks maybe. So I'm very, very new, but I'm enjoying it.
And is that an electric guitar or an acoustic?
Just an acoustic.
Okay.
My roommate Conor Mclennan, I think if I had an electric guitar, he'd probably smash it. So that's why I got the acoustic.
That's pretty cool. I think we'll have to check back in with you here then at the end of the 2 months and see where we're at. But like you said, 3 days into camp, how's that been going so far? Obviously tough after 2 weeks of quarantine and not being on the ice.
Yeah, for everybody who was off the ice for 2 weeks. I was even longer, 3 weeks with travel and things like that. But, everyone's kind of in the same boat like that. So we've just slowly been ramping things up. Started off a little bit easier, have to do things in a safe way. But I'm really, really excited to see where we can go over this next week before the season. And I think once that time comes, we'll be going full speed and we'll be rolling.
And what's that been like being back with the ice players, your teammates after, what'll be almost a year or just over a year when the puck drops, but good to be back with all of them.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is such a good group of guys. When we have such a close-knit group like we do, when you see these guys again after being over a year long, it almost feels like you never left each other. Don't skip a beat with an awesome group. So it's so much fun to be around these guys and living with them. But I'm saying that just about 2 weeks into the experience, so we'll see if I say the same thing in a couple months. But it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I bet. And I guess just to touch on practice a little bit, obviously, easing into it. I know I talked to the head coach, James Patrick, and he said it was the first time in his career where he actually told his team to, not go 100% in the first day back.
Yeah, I think that's it's weird for all of us. Usually training camp is it's the hardest time of the year in a sense, and the practices can be excruciatingly hard, and it's to get you in shape. But once you're sitting down and hopefully being able to keep a little bit active during the 2-week quarantine, I don't think it's I think our coaches did a really good job being smart with how we can ease into things, limiting injuries and aches and pains, because with our heavy schedule coming up, if we're not smart now, it can linger on for the whole year.
Absolutely. And, going back to last season, you've had a lot of success against the Regina Pats, but also, in the Brandt Center where the hub is being held. Are you looking forward to that? Like, have you noticed that? What goes into all that, playing well against them, but particularly in the Brandt Center?
Yeah, I'm not too sure why I've had so much success in this building. I guess it's just maybe the ice fits me or something like that. I'm not too sure why I've had so much success in this building, but it's something I've kind of joked with my teammates a little bit back and forth, just that it's a good ring for the hub to be in for me, but I'm just looking forward to playing.
And what comes to mind when I think of that is that end-to-end goal you scored early in the year last year versus Regina. Does that come to mind, and the guys rub you about that a little bit?
Yeah, you're gonna get me in trouble if I say anything about that. So I've heard enough about that already, as I'm sure you could imagine.
Yeah, I sure can. So I want to, obviously it's ahead of your NHL draft year this year, but I'm going to rewind a little bit to back to when you were 9 and 10 years old. And I'm not going to go on a limb here and say I was a good coach by any means, but it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you were a pretty special player even back then. How do you block out all the noise, especially when you're projected to be, a first round pick heading into this season?
Yeah, for me, I think you kind of see all these draft boards and things like that, and anyone who says they don't see it or they don't notice it, I think is lying. But for me, once I kind of get to the rink, nothing really creeps into my mind or bothers me there. So I can play and just do things how I want to do them, regardless of what other people are saying or all these things are saying. So I just stick to focusing to the game when it's going on, and that's how I kind of deal with it.
And obviously, you're a very good player. Played big minutes last year. Only, I can only imagine your role to move up a little bit this year. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe being a little bit of a leader on this team, second year in the league. Hopefully, show a good example for some of the younger guys we have coming in. I think everybody kind of says that once they've got a year under their belt, it feel a little bit different in the hierarchy on the team, and just how you can kind of how I'm able to carry myself after spending a year after in this league. So I want to become a bit of a leader and really set the example for this team.
Well, listen, Carson, I appreciate you taking the time here. I'll let you get back to, doing your schoolwork as you mentioned, but wishing you all the best this year, and we'll check in soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Well, that'll just about do it for this week's episode of Icebreaker. Thanks again for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a great week, and we will talk to you next week.